Today on ASP Cafe, a Cup with Joe, we have Mary Austin, coordinator of the International Baccalaureate Program. I'd like to welcome Mary Austin to A Cup with Joe. Mary, welcome.
Thank you, Joe. It's great to be here with you today.
Good. Can you explain a little bit about the International Baccalaureate Organization?
Absolutely. The International Baccalaureate Organization, or IB as we really have come to know it, started back in 1968 in Europe. It was started by a group of like-minded educators who really wanted to have a program that had consistent, rigorous, challenging standards that would allow students who are moving with their families from country to country, much like we move from state to state here in the United States, to continue to have access, consistent access, again, to that challenging program of education where they weren't worried about playing catch up or doing what needed to be done in their new country, their new school system, but rather were able to maintain that challenging, high-level, globally minded program of education, again, with consistent standards.
Right, so it's about 50 years old now, right? So,
it is.
right.
Actually, we celebrated the 50th anniversary last year with a lot of fanfare here in Anne Arundel County and across the world.
Wonderful, good. And so tell me a little bit, so I noticed on our website, for example, at www.aacps.org/IB, we spell program in the European way. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Sure, that's a great question. You'll notice actually that ending, that double ME, at a lot of the words you'll see in the IB program information. And that's very simply because the program, again, originated in Europe. And so the predominant form of English there is the British form of English. And consistent with that is the double ME, the OUR, etc. So that's what we're seeing. It's not a grammatical mistake.
Right, so even organization then is spelled in the British way.
Correct, with an S as opposed to a Z.
Right, so good. So in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, so you know we use a lot of acronyms, right? So
we do.
And AACPS is one of them, right? So what are the acronyms we use in the International Baccalaureate Program?
I'm really happy to answer that question because we have a lot of misconceptions around that.
Sure.
So the overarching acronym, of course, or initials are IB, again for International Baccalaureate. Within the International Baccalaureate umbrella or suite of programs, we have the IB PYP, or IB Primary Years Program, which for us is elementary school, so that's actually for students in pre-K through grade 5. They transition to the IB Middle Years Program, or IB MYP, which is, again, for us students in middle school and the first 2 years of high school, so grades 6 through 10. Finally, of the programs we offer here in our school system, we have the IB DP, or Diploma Program, which tends to be the most well-known of the IB programs, and that's for students in grades 11 and 12. So IB PYP, MYP, and DP, but all of them are IB programs.
So if I'm thinking about this sort of looking at from a parent standpoint, I start with a child in pre-kindergarten. So they would, how do they get into the PYP program? How does that happen?
Sure. So the primary years program, or IB elementary school programs, are not magnet programs. They're what we call community programs, meaning very simply that if your family, your child, lives in the area that feeds directly into an IB PYP, or primary years program school, your student is an IB student. However, we do not accept applications for students to come in as magnet students or transfer students for our elementary school programs. When we transition to the middle school programs, the IB Middle Years or MYP, those programs again are whole school like our elementary schools, so every student is engaged in the same way in the IB program of study. However, at the middle school level, we have our students again who live in that middle school catchment area or zoned area who are automatically IB MYP students. Additionally, we take applications for magnet students for children who live within that magnet feeder area. So that's grades 6 through 8. The high school level is a little bit different again. Again, for grades 9 and 10, it's a whole school program for the IB MYP. So all students who live in that high school area are IB students. Again, we take applications for magnet students for the 4-year high school sequence. And I'd love the opportunity to explain that because there is sometimes some confusion. So children who do need to apply or want to apply for the 4-year program do need to apply as 8th graders. So again, if you live in the Annapolis, Meade, or Old Mill High School district, you are automatically an IB Middle Years Program student for grade 9 and 10. However, if you wish to be part of that 4-year IB sequence, the IB Middle Years Program in 9 and 10, the Diploma Program in grades 11 and 12, all students do need to submit an application in grade 8, and that application, if they are accepted into the program and they remain eligible, is effective for all 4 years of high school. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. So if I'm a parent and I have a child going into from pre-kindergarten through grade 5, I don't need to apply, but I need to live in that zoned school. I need to go to the school that has it for PYP.
Exactly,
Right.
and everybody in those elementary schools, and we have 13 of them in Anne Arundel County, is an IB Primary Years Program student.
Right. So that means that there'd be no application for that at all.
Correct.
Right. So that wouldn't be considered a magnet program.
It is not. Community-based programs for the IB elementary
They're called
schools.
community-based.
Yes.
Okay, so that's pre-K through grades 5.
Right.
And then when my child is in grade 5 going into grade 6, I have an opportunity then to apply for a magnet program if I don't live in that zoned school area.
Correct. And again, that's unique for IB. So our STEM and PVA programs function a little bit differently, but for IB, if you live in the area zoned for Annapolis Middle, MacArthur Middle School, or Old Mill Middle School North, again, you're automatically part of that IB program. It's a whole school program, all students doing the same things. Of course, unique for their level of ability and their interests, all teachers trained in that IB pedagogy and instructional framework. But then we do have the application opportunity for students who live around those IB middle schools but don't directly feed into them.
So, so we use in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, we use the word feeders. So a parent would need to know what a feeder school is and what school. I have a child in 5th grade, for example, this year. I would need to know what school, what would be the next school, what would be the middle school, right?
Correct. They need to know their middle school, their home middle school, and all that information is readily accessible on the website, as you mentioned earlier, the aacps.org/IB. And you can also find information on the IB program overall, as well as information on each of our IB schools at our website.
Oh, wonderful, good. So, and in middle school, then there would be another process. So middle school, going into middle school, and because it's international, it's grades 6 through 10, which doesn't fit with the American model, but it does fit with the European model of grades 6 through 10 is middle years program, and then after that it's a diploma program.
Correct, and that's because, again, because the program was started as an international program and still is. The program exists in hundreds of countries around the world with hundreds of thousands of students participating and teachers as well. The program is organized by age rather than by grade because, as you know, school systems all over the world organize with grades that students are in differently.
Right. So there's a unique characteristic then too, the number of students that we have actually enrolled in an IB program here in Anne Arundel County.
Oh yes, actually we're quite a big program. In fact, in the state of Maryland, we are one of the 2 largest IB districts here in the state and one of the largest both in our region and in the country. So we have 19 IB schools in our system and over 14,000 students participating in IB programs pre-K through 12.
Wow, that's wonderful. I mean, that just makes an experience sort of like everyone's involved in this, and then this is an excitement around the learning process. And,
very true, and IB programs are very much dedicated to being IB community programs. So not community in the sense of the elementary programs, but rather it's important that everyone who is part of that IB school community really is aware. So again, all teachers have ongoing training in the IB program. Students are working through that IB program for everything they're doing, not just their instruction, but really that feel of what can I do with my learning. So an IB education is very much devoted to encouraging students and helping students take what they've learned and turn that into action to benefit their local and global communities.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great news.
Fantastic.
So while we go to break, let's listen to our group, and we've had a recent group here. We had an opportunity. The students at Old Mill High School had an opportunity to listen to and participate in a group from
Slovenia, the Slovenian Megaron Choir. It actually is a world-renowned choir, and if I may, it actually was students from Old Mill High School, Old Mill Middle School North, and Southgate Elementary School. So that cluster of IB schools in that area, all kids came together. Our high school students had a chance to participate in a master class with the conductor and the members of the choir, perform with them, and then also to listen to the performance.
Wonderful. Let's listen to them while we go on break.
Great. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Today I come to you with exciting news about school meals. Breakfast is offered in all schools every day. At lunch, students are offered at least 4 different entrees, many different types of whole grains, and unlimited choices of fresh fruits and vegetables. Students are encouraged to select up to 2 cups of fresh produce or to fill half of their tray at lunch from our unique salad bars. You may also monitor your child's school meals account online at My Payments Plus. This is a convenient tool. It's offered to all parents to make managing your school meals account a simple process. To learn more about My Payments Plus, simply visit www.mypaymentsplus.com or call 877-237-0946. Registration is free and quick, so get started today. Each year, families have the ability to apply for free or reduced price meals. The application to apply is online. Parents, you may log on to applyformeals.aacps.org. This process is fast, it's easy, convenient, and it's accessible from any computer. Remember, if you received meal benefits last year, you must complete a new application each school year. Thank you for this opportunity to provide this valuable information pertaining to school meals. School meals fuel your child's brain and body for academic success. If you have any questions regarding the healthy school meals offered in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, please contact me directly at 410-222-5900. Thanks again, and have a great school year.
Mary, we both had the opportunity to experience Megaron when they came to Old Mill High School, right? And one of the things that I took away from it is their attention to detail in English, because these are people who don't speak English natively, and they sang a song they thought we would enjoy, O Shenandoah. I remember that. It was just sort of interesting. What's one of the takeaways that you had from that experience?
Oh, so one of the things that's very important to us, it's actually a requirement in the IB program at all levels. So again, our youngest learners, even from pre-K, all IB students must study at least one additional language. And I think that when our students, and frankly even our faculty, our community, have opportunities such as what you mentioned, to see our international guests come and be so proficient in this case our language, but sometimes multiple additional languages, it really helps to drive home the point of how important communication is. So communication is a huge aspect of IB programs, again with the additional language piece, but also helping students to effectively communicate in their writing, verbal communication in their mother tongue and additional languages, through the arts, through sciences, through math. So we really stress that in all of our IB teaching and learning.
Oh, it's wonderful, because communication, I realized that. I also realized it was a different culture. The students were allowed to compare their culture with theirs, their ability in a foreign language with the students who came from a different country. I mean, sort of, and they could really connect with them too. It was really kind of an interesting experience, right? So
I think it was, and it's something we provide on a regular basis for IB students. So we have a lot of partnerships. We have performers, international performers, local performers coming in on a regular basis to all of our schools. Sometimes we may have guest scientists or opportunities for our students to go visit the embassy. In January of this year, we'll have a full day around the Asian cultures. We celebrate together with World Artist Experiences, the Chinese New Year. So that's a regular happening for us, both on a large scale with many schools together or across the county, and sometimes school by school or even class by class, but it's an important part of an IB education.
Yeah, so circling back to the language, that seems to be a tenet of the IB organization,
It is.
right? So what are some other tenets of the IBO?
So at all levels, students are guided by what's called the IB Learner Profile, and that's something actually we share widely, and we ask our teachers, the adults in our building, or again, our parents, our community members to be part of that. So essentially, it's a set of 10 attributes that make up one IB Learner Profile, and we give students the opportunities to both strengthen those they already feel confident in and work on those they feel they want to develop. So some examples of those attributes would be to be knowledgeable, to be caring, to be a risk taker in the sense of being an academic risk taker, trying something you haven't done before, to be a thinker, to be a communicator, balance. Sometimes people get the idea that an IB program is so rigorous that kids have time for nothing else.
Right.
But in fact, the reality is that we encourage and actually set things in place to make sure that our students and our teachers are achieving that balance through, again, their traditional academics, the arts, sports, family time, just frankly, plain downtime.
So if you're looking at it from the way I look at it, is the child is a puzzle piece, right? And all the parts of their lives fit together in one big puzzle, and that's what IB helps them to do. It sort of puts all the pieces together.
Very true, and IB is about, and really education in general should be about this, but for many years IB has been in the forefront of saying that they are about educating the whole child, the academic side, the physical side, the emotional side, and that really does play a part in everything we do. We have the opportunity to create unique instructional units for our students that are framed through contexts. It is a known fact that students, people in general, are much more able to grab content, to grasp content, if you will, if it's framed through a context that helps them make sense. So that's something that plays an important part, and that context is often framed through, again, things other than just traditional academic thoughts.
So those are some of the benefits already of the IB program. What about for, the benefits for the students and the family? What are some other benefits that you can talk about?
So the IB program, really one of the things that I think is most unique and most special about it is the fact that it does encompass so much. So if we look at our other magnet programs, we have some wonderful choices for families to look at, to consider as they look at magnet programs, or even elementary school programs if they're considering where the place is they want their families to live. But something that's a real asset for IB is that it encompasses a bit of all of those. So many of us nowadays are very familiar with the idea of STEM, or even STEAM, which is STEM with the arts integrated within. IB offers all of those things. So people tend to think of an IB education as being international or something that is very humanities based, when in fact we work hard to integrate all areas into the IB program. So we like to think of ourselves, and it's very accurate, as really STEAM plus. So we're offering STEM, we're offering the arts, we're also offering, in fact, requiring, again, that additional language piece. We are, again, asking students to be active participants in their local and global communities. We're giving them opportunities to identify issues that are important to them and to take positive action to make things better. And that's something that's been very popular, in particular with our parent group. It's something they look towards. They like the idea of kids having a chance to do something with their learning. And from the students' perspective, what we hear from them is that they love the fact that it's not just about being in class or memorizing or learning something and taking a test, which really, again, is not what any education should be, but that they really are encouraged and have opportunities within their curriculum to take their learning and to, again, actively apply it to their daily lives, or sometimes in bigger projects.
So they're taking the connections that they made academically and the contact they made with people in other languages, and then applying to the communities aspect. So the local community and then the global community.
Sure,
right? So
and we spend a lot of time thinking about what are the things that we're doing in a local community, how are they affecting what's happening globally, or vice versa. So consistently in an IB education and IB schools, we're not just looking at things from one perspective, whether it's a national perspective or a local perspective, but rather we're considering the whole world. And that's so important in today's world. We really have to be aware of not just what's happening right where we are, but what's happening around the world. Conversely, we can't have a good understanding of what's happening globally if we don't have a solid understanding of ourselves and our local communities.
Sure, so the benefits for the students, and let's listen to some interviews with some students and a faculty member about the importance of an IB education.
In IB, you get to experience 4 years or 2 years in a diploma program with the same people. You know, you make connections and you get more opportunities.
I chose IB because I know that I'm not the traditional learner. I learn in different ways. I'm much more of a global thinker than just a, linear path kind of guy. And IB really lets me explore that aspect in my education.
IB is all about bettering yourself and being well-rounded, and I wanted to learn how to be well-rounded.
It helps students not only to be college prepared, I think it helps them to be life prepared. They learn how to find resources on their own, critical thinking. They are able to think outside of the box. They're able to find their niche and things that they're interested in.
Do you have children currently in or about to enter Anne Arundel County Public Schools? Would you like to join other families, community members, and educators to share ideas and address issues that support the academic success and overall well-being of our children? If so, please join us on Saturday, November 16th for our Family Involvement Conference. The theme of this year's conference is All Means All, embracing and learning through our diversity. The event is free and open to all interested family and community members. It will be held at the Anne Arundel Community College in Arnold and runs from 8:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. The morning will begin with the opportunity to visit a variety of community resource tables, followed by welcoming remarks from Superintendent Dr. George Arlotto. Participants will then choose 2 engaging workshops from among 13 different topics to attend for the remainder of the day. Continental breakfast and an afternoon snack will be provided, and childcare is available for children ages 3 through 12 in the campus Child Development Center. Please note, however, that the number of available spaces is limited and registration for childcare is required. Those interested in childcare should call 410-222-5309. Per AACC rules, children under the age of 16 may not accompany parents into conference sessions. For more details and to register for the conference, please visit our conference website at www.aacps.org/family-conference. Spanish interpreters will be available for the day of the conference. For interpretation in other languages, please call 410-222-5418. Watch for a flyer with more information coming home with your child, and plan to join us on Saturday, November 16th for another exciting Family Involvement Conference.
So Mary, I noticed in the interviews that the AP came up, Advanced Placement came up, versus the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program examinations. Can you address that a little bit for us?
Absolutely, it's a very common question. So we have, in this case, we're talking about AP or Advanced Placement, specifically as compared to the IB Diploma Program or the IBDP.
Okay.
So both AP and IB Diploma courses are courses that come with required exams at the end of the course. Some very basic differences. All AP courses are one-year courses, whereas many IB courses are one-year or two-year courses. IB courses and exams are also offered at two different levels called the Standard SL, Standard Level, or Higher Level, HL, whereas AP exams are just, one kind of AP exam. So more specific differences, both good opportunities for kids. AP exams tend to cover, or courses tend to cover more information but in much less depth, and the bulk of the exams at the end of those courses are multiple choice or selected response with some essay components.
Right.
IB exams are quite unique in that the IB courses may cover less information or slightly less information, not always, that is not always the case, but they go into far greater depth, many more connections, again, that global perspective. Kids have some real hands-on project-based opportunities as part of those IB diploma courses, and the exams really match that. So IB and IB exams, you are only going to see a multiple choice section in one component of the science exams. That's it. In every other IB diploma exam, they are written exams, they are speaking exams, there are project-based exams, so perhaps kids are creating a portfolio or putting on an art show. They're speaking, whether it's their additional language or English language is the speaking component to that. Also, the exams take place over not just several days, but several months. So there's what's called an internal assessment component. That's something students do under the guidance of the teacher during the course of the year, as well as the external exam component that they sit for at the end. Again, that's a combination of writing, speaking, and project-based. Also, kids have choice in the exam, so even when they get the actual examination paper, there's always a selection of questions, if you will, from which students can choose. So they're really designed to be very much to find out what the students know as opposed to finding out what they don't know. IB and AP exams are both extremely well regarded by colleges. Both have the opportunity to be granted credit, or for colleges, to grant credit based on the results of those exams. But what I also want people to know is that whereas AP is a set of courses with exams, the IB Diploma Program is a program. So students are engaging in the entirety of the program. And so I'm often asked about how colleges view that as part of the admissions process. So I can tell you, hands down, if colleges see that a high school offers the IB Diploma Program and a student has chosen to take advantage of that program, they will automatically give that student greater consideration in the application process, because colleges and universities know that students who've participated in the IB Diploma Program, and frankly kids who've come through the IB primary years and middle years program as well, are incredibly well prepared, college and career ready, as we like to talk about, not just for university study, but for life beyond. They know how to think critically, they know how to manage their time, they know how to persevere through difficult situations, and they're just really great candidates for university study, again for careers, and really well prepared for life.
Oh, that's wonderful. So thinking again about the entire umbrella, so we start about primary years program, no application needed. The middle years program, an application is needed in grades 5 and then in grade 8 to go to the 4-year sequence that we talked about. So the commitment then from Anne Arundel County Public Schools would be, if you apply in grade 8 and to a middle years program, diploma program combination, we're committing for 4 years then.
That's right. So no need to apply again during 10th grade for that 11th and 12th grade year. As long as students do what they need to do in the 4 years of high school, there's no reason that they wouldn't stay in. And we really want to keep kids in for the entirety of the program and all magnet programs.
And then as you stressed, it's a program with an examination component.
Correct.
But it's an entire sequence in a program, and it's about how to approach learning, thinking, and then your place in the universe.
It
right?
is,
So-
and in fact, one of the core courses of the IB Diploma program is something we call TOK, or Theory of Knowledge.
Okay.
And that course is a very unique course, probably one of the most popular courses we have in the IB Diploma program suite of offerings. And that's really a course about how we know what we know, how we learn, challenging assumptions. And as you can imagine, Joe, you have kids and grandkids. What teenager wouldn't like to be engaged in the class where they're asked to challenge assumptions and authority and rules that
Right.
they have always been told are true? So it's
Yeah.
a very popular class. And
Very
again,
true.
it really prepares kids well.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So the theory of knowledge class is where the students get to explore through a philosophical lens. Is that how it's
A
approached?
philosophical lens and, again, ways of knowing. So within TOK connects to each of the academic disciplines within the IB program, and of course there are many. The IB Diploma program contains 6 academic groups, but students choose within those groups which courses they want to take. So they're not limited into just one series of courses. They can pursue a myriad of different pathways through that IB Diploma program. And then TOK, again, is a cornerstone of that program, as well as what we call CAS, or Creativity, Activity, and Service, which again is that piece where we're asking kids to really try to maintain that balance. So at the end of the IB Diploma program, students are leaving us with their Maryland diploma, their IB diploma, and in fact, in some cases, they're also leaving us with earning an IB, a bilingual IB diploma, should they choose to pursue one element of their IB diploma program in that additional language. So it's a lot of great opportunities for our kids.
Right, and the CAS again, could you explain what that is and when it's done?
Yeah, CAS, Creativity, Activity, and Service, CAS. Like most things in the diploma program, it takes place over the course of 2 years, so nothing is done, just this week or in this very short period of time. And students are looking to their own interests, or interests they want to develop, or skills they really want to grow, and they're putting time into those areas over the course of 2 years. So it might be that they, if a student is particularly interested in a sport, maybe they want to work towards starting or just enhancing a youth league in their area. Perhaps they want to put together an art show of some kind. It's really like everything within IB. We're asking students to decide what they're passionate about, and then we're giving them the room, the opportunity, and the support to explore that with a purpose.
So it's sort of like a personal and then a community impact.
Correct,
Right?
correct.
Then-
Personal, very important, and whenever we can take something that we are personally passionate about and want to act on and do something to improve or change or better, what have you, again, our local and global community, and that could be our classroom, it could be our neighborhood, it could be the world. That's something we really seek to help our students and our adults with.
Right. Is there any advice you had for parents or students? What would that be for preparing for the International Baccalaureate program?
So I think for students and families who are looking at the magnet application process, I really encourage them to come out to the information nights we have at our individual schools.
Okay.
And of course, those dates and information can be found again on our website, as well as through mailings that we have collectively sent home for families. I encourage families to take advantage of the shadow days that we offer for students at our IB program schools. So come and spend the day with us and really get to see what happens in the IB school for yourself on that daily basis. Contact us. Our school-based IB coordinators are top-notch, and they're there, as well as our principals, to help to answer your questions. And of course, as always, reach out to me. I'm not only the head of the IB program, but I've also have 2 of my own AACPS students who are currently going through the program themselves. So
That's wonderful.
I'm very passionate about it and can speak about it from my educator standpoint, as well as with my mom hat on.
Wow. Mary, that is great. Great. It's been really informative. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for
And,
having me.
Yeah, I look forward to the applications now for the International Baccalaureate program.
Great. Thank you so much,
Thank
Joe.
you.
The Cafe at Maryland Hall is a collaborative venture between Anne Arundel County Public Schools and Maryland Hall for the Creative Arts. The culinary arts students of the Center of Applied Technology South not only prepare the wonderful food items, they also manage and staff the cafe. Patrons may enjoy a treat or a cup of coffee while also enjoying exhibits and performances from artists in the AACPS PVA program and local art community. This amazing collaborative partnership gives the community an opportunity to experience awesome food and customer service in a rich, artful atmosphere here in the community's Art Center, our vibrant and exciting Maryland Hall.
Hi, I'm Wiley Baker. Join me later today for Anne Arundel County Public Schools Athletes in Action right here on AACPS TV.